What if before fighting Mace Windu, Palpatine did death sticks? How would that change things? Let's find out. So in this new Star Wars timeline, everything would be the same as it was in the original timeline until Anakin leaves Palpatine's office after finding out that Palpatine is a Sith Lord. Following Anakin's departure to inform the Jedi Council of Palpatine being a Sith, Palpatine, or Sidious, would sit down on his office chair and look out the window, which offered an amazing view of the Coruscant skyline. Soon the galaxy will be his, and the Jedi will be no more, Palpatine thought, looking at nighttime fall upon Coruscant. Palpatine then thought how long it would take before the Jedi Masters tried to attack him. Can't be too long now, Palpatine told himself. Palpatine then directed his attention towards the statue of Sistros the Thinker that he kept in his main office. Sistros was one of the 4 sages of Dwarthi, who were philosophers and lawgivers who hailed from the inner rim planet of Dwarthi. These sages, namely Sistros, Brada, Feya, and Yanjon, were believed to have served the modern Galactic Republic in its early days, so they most likely lived roughly 8,000 years before Palpatine's time. But the reason Palpatine was looking at the statue of Sistros at this moment was because this particular statue of Sistros that Palpatine kept in his main office had a chamber inside of it lined with a material called neuranium, which could block all forms of scanning. And it was inside of this neuranium-lined chamber that Palpatine kept his Crimson Sith Saber hidden. It was now time to take it out. It was time to stop hiding, the Dark Lord of the Sith thought, looking at Sistros. And so, in an effort to take out his saber from where it's been for roughly 20 standard years at this point, Palpatine called upon the Force to ignite his saber, which caused it to burn its way out of the statue and into Palpatine's hand. He was now prepared, fully armed for any confrontation. And if the Jedi, instead of attacking him directly, went to the Senate claiming that he, Palpatine, was a Sith, well, the Jedi wouldn't be able to prove it, since there was no solid evidence, so in the end the Jedi would look like fools before the Senate. Yes, Palpatine had meticulously orchestrated every detail of this plot. There was no way the Jedi could come out on top. No way they could beat him. And so, with all that in mind, Palpatine sat there, prepared. But even after almost a standard hour of waiting, Palpatine couldn't sense the Jedi getting any closer to him. The excitement of being able to fight the Jedi and finally putting an end to them was only getting stronger within Sidious, and in a moment of overconfidence or arrogance, Palpatine decides to do something strange. To enhance the euphoria that Palpatine believed he would gain from cutting down the Jedi, the Sith Lord reached into a secret compartment within his desk, and soon after his head emerged outside, clutching a small, translucent cylinder with a red fluid inside of it. What this red fluid was a concoction of Ixodal-Silona, a powerful extract meticulously distilled from the balo mushrooms of the planet Balosur. Crafted by the galaxy's most unscrupulous chemists, this substance was infamous for provoking an intense, albeit perilous, hallucinogenic euphoria. In layman's terms, or as they're colloquially known across the stars, this substance and the cylinder that contained it, which Darth Sidious now held in his grip, was referred to as a death stick. So following this, after taking out the death stick, Palpatine looked at the swirling red fluid inside it, and then drank it all. Normally the fluid is mixed with some kind of a beverage, but Palpatine cared little for the proper etiquette of death stick consumption. All he wanted was the thrill one would get from the substance. And mere moments after this liquid entered Palpatine's body, the Dwarthi statues began speaking with Palpatine. Elsewhere, Mace Windu, flanked by Saesee Tiin, Agent Kolar, and Kit Fisto, moved with purpose through the corridors of the Senate building. Mace Windu's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, a rare occurrence for the Jedi Masters so renowned for his composure and tactical acumen. The revelation brought forth by Anakin Skywalker that Chancellor Palpatine was in fact Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord they've been seeking, was world-shattering. As he and his fellow Jedi Masters approached Palpatine's office, Windu's hand instinctively rested on the hilt of his lightsaber, a reflection of his inner turmoil. Windu was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. If Palpatine truly was the Sith Lord, then this confrontation would mark the end of the Sith's millennia-long machinations and the restoration of balance to the Force. His thoughts then drifted to Anakin, a Jedi full of potential yet clouded by conflict and emotion. Windu couldn't help but wonder how deep Anakin's connection was to Palpatine and what role the Chosen One might play in the events to come. This unease about Anakin added another layer of complexity to Windu's already burned mind. But despite all these swirling thoughts, Windu's training as a Jedi Master anchored him. He remained focused on the task at hand, his resolve unwavering. Every step he took towards Palpatine's office was measured, deliberate, a testament to his commitment to the Jedi principles of peace and justice, yet tinged with the harsh reality that violence might be inevitable. As the doors to Palpatine's office loomed ahead, Mace Windu steadied himself. This was the moment that would define the future of the galaxy. He was prepared to face whatever lay on the other side, be it a diplomatic resolution or a battle against the dark side. The fate of the Jedi, the Republic, and the galaxy rested upon the outcome of this encounter. Mere moments later, Mace Windu and the other Masters stood before the door to Palpatine's office. It was unguarded, which was unusual. And then, with confident strides which hid any amount of concern he may have had, Mace Windu walked in. And soon enough, he and the other Masters found the Chancellor in a very peculiar condition. In his mind, Mace Windu had pictured this scenario going in many different ways, but what he and the other Masters were looking at right now was definitely not something that Mace Windu, or even the most powerful of Jedi, could have pictured. So what did Mace Windu and the other Masters see? Well, to explain that, let's go back a bit. So right after Sidious took the death stick, he began hearing and seeing things that shouldn't be possible. But because of the drug-addled state he was in, Palpatine trusted his senses when he should not have. And soon enough, the statues of Dwarthi began speaking with him. Each statue seemed to embody the spirit of its namesake philosopher. Brada, ever the proponent of the dark side, began the discussion. Sheev, why do you waste time on such trivial conquests? True power lies in the dark side, beyond the grasp of the Jedi and the Senate. This is what Brada said, to which Palpatine, his eyes flickering with dark energy, retorted with a tone of disdain. The Jedi are blind, Brada. They cling to their outdated morals and fail to grasp the true nature of the Force. As for the Senate, they are nothing more than pawns in my intricate game of galactic chess. They scurry about, unaware that every move, every decision they make serves my ultimate plan. Palpatine then leaned in closer to Brada, his voice growing more intense. You see, Brada, it's not just about wielding power, it's about reshaping the very fabric of the galaxy. The Jedi, the Senate, they are tools in this grand vision. Through them, I manipulate the threads of destiny itself, bending the galaxy to my will. Palpatine's expression then hardened as he revealed the depth of his ambition. True power is not just about overt displays of strength. It's about control, influence, and the unseen hand that guides the fate of trillions. And that, my old friend, is the essence of the Sith. Palpatine finished, following which Feya, who stood in front of the entryway to Palpatine's private office, away from his main office, spoke. Pondering the deeper implications of Palpatine's plan, Feya asked the following. What is your endgame, Palpatine? Power for power's sake has only ever led to ruin. Palpatine, momentarily pausing as if savoring Feya's question, replied with a sly grin. Ah, Feya, you always were the philosopher. My endgame is not merely about accumulating power. It's about order, stability, and the eradication of chaos. The Jedi, with their short-sightedness and adherence to outdated codes, have allowed the galaxy to descend into turmoil and conflict. Palpatine then paced slowly towards Feya, his voice growing in intensity. With the Sith at the helm, the galaxy will know true peace and order. There will be sacrifices, yes, but from the ashes of the old ways, a new era will rise. One where the Sith's unchallenged rule ensures a harmonious and prosperous galaxy. Palpatine's eyes glinted. So you see, Feya, it's not ruin I seek, but rebirth. A galaxy reborn in the image of the Sith. One free from the Jedi's hypocrisy and the Senate's ineffectuality. Power is simply the means, Feya. But the end is a new dawn for the galaxy, one where I, as its emperor, will guide it to its rightful destiny. Following this powerful speech by Palpatine, Yan, with his usual flair for inciting controversy, interjected sharply. Ah, Sheev, the self-proclaimed mastermind behind the galaxy's grandest scheme. Yet here you are seeking validation from statues. How fitting for someone whose own father found him contemptible. You strive to dominate a galaxy, to be the father figure to billions, perhaps to fill the void left by a father who saw you as nothing but a failure. How ironic, the galaxy's puppet master, still dancing to the tunes of his father's rejection. Laughing at this point, looking at the angry Palpatine, Yan then added the following. Tell me, Sheev, does the future you envision include losing arguments to furniture as well? Hearing this, Palpatine, his face contorting with rage, snapped back, his voice dripping with venom. Your stoned-down philosophies are nothing compared to the reality I'm forging. You mock my past, my lineage, but it is I who has risen above it all. I am not just the heir to a disgraced family, I am the architect of a new era. His fist clenched in anger, Palpatine continued, You, trapped in your Bontheum shells, could never grasp the magnitude of my vision. Following this, Yanjon, with a laugh that echoed mockingly around the chamber, responded to Palpatine's outburst. Oh, Sheev, your tantrum is as pathetic as your understanding of the rule of two. You pride yourself on being a Sith Lord, yet you are an insult to Darth Bane's legacy. Yanjon's tone then became derisive. You, the great Palpatine, could only kill your master Darth Plagueis in his sleep. Where was your mighty Sith strength then? A true Sith confronts their master face to face in a battle of power, but you chose the coward's way. He continued, his laughter still resonating. For all your talk of transcending your past and reshaping the galaxy, you fail to live up to the very principles of the Sith you claim to champion. Before Palpatine could respond to this, Sistros, who stood next to Brada in Palpatine's main office, spoke with a tone of bitter sarcasm. Oh, the mighty Palpatine, you brought a hole through me to hide your little trinket, and now you scream at us like a child. How dignified for a Sith Lord. This jab hit a nerve. Palpatine, now furious, shouted, Silence, Sistros. You are but a tool in my rise to power. Sistros, undeterred, continued, A tool? I am Sistros, a sage, and you deface me for your petty squabbles with the Jedi. You are no Sith Lord. You are an arrogant child. No wonder your father hated you, Palpatine. The argument then began escalating, with the other statues chiming in, mocking Palpatine's delusions of grandeur. Except Brada, who tried to calm things down, but with little success. Amidst this, Sistros' voice again cut through sharply. Come now, Sheev. If you're so powerful, why not prove it? Duel me if you dare. Or does the great Sith Lord fear a mere statue? And it was at this moment that Palpatine noticed Sistros ignite a bright yellow lightsaber, one with crossguards. And having seen this and accepting this challenge by Sistros, Palpatine declared the following. Then treason it is. To which Sistros, with a final sassy remark, said, Treason? I am a statue, you maniac. What's next? Declaring war on your shadow? Come, try and strike me down. Let us see how this will end. Palpatine then faced Sistros and ignited his own crimson saber, the blade humming with dark energy. In response to Palpatine, Sistros, as Palpatine could see, readied his stance, shifting into the intricate and rarely seen Form 7 Juyo of lightsaber combat, known for its aggressive and unpredictable nature. As Sistros poised this complex form, Brada, still trying to calm things down, urged Palpatine to not try it. But Palpatine didn't listen. Sistros underestimates my power, Brada, Palpatine declared, following which Palpatine lunged at Sistros, letting out a fearsome scream as he did so, and then he hit the Bronzium statue head first with immense force. The extremely heavy statue then fell on the Chancellor, following which a wet, loud crunch was heard, which was of course a result of Sistros flattening Palpatine's head. And it was a few short moments after this that Mace Windu and the other Masters walked in, and the sight of Palpatine as he lay under the Bronzium statue of Sistros was what greeted the Masters. After witnessing this unexpected sight, the Masters looked at each other, utterly confused. Mace then walked over and examined Palpatine, who lay under the statue, and quickly Master Windu summarized that Palpatine was definitely dead. Mace then promptly called in the Coruscant Guard to handle the situation. Upon their arrival, the Coruscant Guard cordoned off the scene, and a team of forensic experts began their meticulous work. They conducted a thorough analysis, focusing on the overall scene, including the positioning of Palpatine's body, the statue, and any other physical evidence. The blood spatter analysts worked diligently, reconstructing the events leading to the bloodshed. Their expertise allowed them to determine the trajectory and impact, suggesting that Palpatine had lunged forward aggressively before being crushed by the statue. Meanwhile, other forensic specialists examined Palpatine's body. They found traces of unusual chemicals in his bloodstream, consistent with the hallucinogenic properties of death sticks. This discovery, of course, proved crucial as it provided context for Palpatine's bizarre behavior and his subsequent accidental death. After consolidating the findings from the blood spatter analysis and the toxicology reports, the investigative team concluded that the Jedi Masters were not responsible for Palpatine's demise. Instead, it was ruled as a freak accident, precipitated by Palpatine's own actions under the influence of potent hallucinogens. Also, as the Coruscant Guard and the forensic experts were piecing together this puzzle, Anakin Skywalker did rush into the scene. The sight that greeted him was beyond his belief. Palpatine, the man he believed held the key to saving Padme, reduced to what could only be described as a Sith paste. This shattered Anakin's last hope of saving his wife, plunging him into a state of despair and hopelessness. Also, something that isn't really relevant to the story is that one of the Coruscant guards who saw the state Palpatine was in had an intrusive thought of using Palpatine as toothpaste. Anyways, in the aftermath of this unexpected event, several things happened. Ahsoka Tano returned to Coruscant with Maul in tow, their arrival coinciding with the non-execution of Order 66, which had lost its orchestrator. Ahsoka would then decide to rejoin the Jedi Order, realizing that she belongs with the Jedi. She would also be knighted as she defeated a Sith Lord in combat, which by the way was the same reason that Obi-Wan was knighted after he defeated Maul. Meanwhile, the Separatist leaders hiding out on Mustafar soon realized the futility of their position, and with defeat imminent, Newt Gunray, in a desperate bid for leniency, betrayed his compatriots, hoping to save himself from the Republic's justice. And with the arrest of the Separatist leaders, the Clone Wars was officially brought to an end. And following this, after Palpatine was revealed to be Darth Sidious, Clone Trooper 5's earlier claims of Palpatine's sinister plan involving the inhibitor chips gained credibility, which led to Order 66 being discovered and a galaxy-wide effort to remove these inhibitor chips from the clone army. And after the war reached its official conclusion with the arrest of the Separatist leaders and the deactivation of the droid army, the Jedi Order began to regain their lost favor in both the Senate and the Republic. The discovery of Palpatine's true nature, a drug-addled maniacal Sith Lord who had masterminded the entire conflict, vindicated the Jedi. And so, in this timeline, the Jedi emerged from the Clone Wars not as traitors, but as victims and heroes who had withstood the greatest of manipulators. And finally, as for the chosen one Anakin Skywalker, with the Sith defeated, the Council determined that Anakin had fulfilled the prophecy, following which they gave him the rank of Master, which allowed Anakin to enter the restricted section of the Jedi Archives where he believed he could find forbidden knowledge on how Padme can still be saved. But ultimately, this didn't end up being necessary, as a few days after all these events, Anakin received a transmission from C-3PO stating that Padme had been taken to the Grand Republic Medical Facility. And once Anakin got there, he found that Padme had gone into labor, and their two children, Luke and Leia, were born without Padme dying. This provided Anakin with unbelievable amounts of relief, and ultimately he summarized that, like Yoda says in The Empire Strikes Back, the future is always in motion, and that what he saw in his vision was just one possible future and was not an absolute. And so in the end, Luke and Leia would be raised on Naboo, where Anakin would train them in the ways of the Force. The twins would of course not be surrendered to the Jedi Order, as the Order still forbade attachments, and neither Anakin nor Padme wanted to abandon their children. And as time passed, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano, close friends and confidants of Anakin, came to a silent understanding about the true parentage of the twins. This unspoken truth, which they had all quietly acknowledged, eventually found its way into the open. It was a revelation not met with judgment but acceptance, for Obi-Wan and Ahsoka held no reservations about Anakin's capabilities as both a father and a mentor. They knew the love and guidance that Anakin and Padme could provide would only nurture the potential within Luke and Leia. But still, this belief was held more strongly by Ahsoka than Obi-Wan. So they all lived happily ever after, at least until Anakin got a vision of his children being killed by Yuuzhan Vong invaders. Or maybe Anakin got a vision of a resurrected Darth Vitiate bringing his children under his control. Or maybe it was something else that he saw. What do you think happened? Also, before you leave, if you feel like supporting the channel and if you have the time, do check out my Patreon, where for $1 or more a month, you could get early access to videos and exclusive content which wouldn't be released on the main channel for months. Anyways, goodbye, stay hydrated, and always make good choices in life.